What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Yun Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Daz Studio 68, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik 86, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Maria Neelands, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Rob H, Skeptic936, Steve ALM, Texas Mike, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Herkins, Unbelievable Productions, and Windrider. So a massive shout out of thanks to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a few people in Discord, together with, I think, 10th man in G+, so I'll raise the mic on them. Hopefully a conversation will start up while I set up for the next live show.
Hey, can I ask you a question about that call yesterday about the guy who kept saying refraction no matter what you said?
You want what? What do you want to do?
I said I want to tackle that subject of refraction when that caller yesterday on the show, no matter what you said, he just kept saying refraction. But I was catching something in what he was saying. I just want to run it by you, see if it makes any sense.
Sure.
Okay. So no matter what you said about the oil platforms and the black swan, that baller yesterday said refraction. No matter what it was, that was his answer, refraction. So if we have them define refraction, they're going to say light goes in a straight line until it hits a different medium, and then it could go a little bit different depending on the angle of incidence and so forth. I think we all agree with that. So we're on the same page there. Okay, so then they're saying that the physical geometric horizon that should be at 1.22 miles at a 1 foot observer height based on a 3959 Earth radius is not there because of the atmosphere, and because the atmosphere is there, it's refracted further out. But it would be there if there was no atmosphere. This is their argument. So then when we look at the picture, obviously we're looking at the picture with an atmosphere, and they're saying, if we stay true to their definitions, that the geometric horizon is really at the 1.22 miles, but because of the atmosphere, it's beyond the 9.2 mile oil platform habitat. Well, the question is based on what Rumpus said. He said that everything is refracted. So shouldn't the oil platforms also be refracted in harmony with whatever the refraction is doing? So if it's lowering or raising, depending on the day, the oil platforms would have to follow suit because they're physical objects too. So the horizon can never be behind any oil platform. If they're going to use refraction, they got to use it with everything, not just the invisible geometric horizon that only seems to leap over another physical object, but that same physical object, the platform, doesn't leap over itself.
Well, you've got a contradiction in terms of what's going on. So when you say they've also got a geometric horizon, well, they haven't. If it can't be seen, it's not a horizon. So it falls apart.
I agree. No, I agree. That's our argument. I'm saying I want to kill them on the. There's something here. I may not be wording it right. When they use refraction, it's like their escape card, but it doesn't work well because of the geometry. So we kill them there, it's over. But I want to now take away this refraction argument of theirs.
Well,
because if they're going to use refraction, They got to be honest with it and use it with everything.
Yeah, they do. Everything's refracted. But what kind of refraction are they using?
Well, they're using 7/6R terrestrial,
Ah,
right?
7/6 what, sorry?
R, the radius, yes,
Oh,
I know.
right. And what does, and in their model, what does R give you?
The geometric horizon at 1.22 miles at
Right.
1. Yeah,
Right.
no, I agree. That's not my argument because we kill them there. It's over. The argument's over. I'm not trying to say I'm forming a new argument. I want to take the carpet called refraction from under them because they can't use it.
Like I say, they can't use it because their refraction is based on their geometry. So without having an R value giving you a physical geometric horizon, you don't have anything to base the refraction on.
Correct. I 100% agree. I'm just trying to take the word refraction. I mean, it's dead. We win. It's over. I get it. But I want to take that word refraction, and they somehow think it means something, but they're not applying it to everything. They're saying it applies to everything, including the oil platforms, but they're only selectively saying it applies to the invisible geometric horizon and thus hanging on to their R. Well, no, there is no R because if it was, you would see it, it would be there. But they're not applying it to everything when it comes to the platforms because only the horizon's refracted behind the platforms. Well, what about the platforms? If if the horizon is going coming in closer, going further based on refraction, well, wouldn't the platforms be the same? But if you got on the boat and you went from the shoreline to the platforms, they're always 9.2 miles. They don't change.
Yeah, I agree. It's just
So
it's
when
just
they
it's just you're adding redundancy that isn't required. The argument's not
it's
about
not
the platforms. So if you're saying, well, they have to assert that the platforms are refracted, well, yeah, they typically do. They've got refractive values in the calculator, but they're all based on R. The argument in the first instance isn't about that, though. It's about the horizon. Who cares beyond that?
I agree. No, I agree. I'm trust me, I will never argue on their point there. The horizon is the issue here. That's the modus tollens. Every horizon distance must be. But when they come in with their um, one word cover all, I don't even know how to say it, the fallacy of refraction, they're only applying it to one thing, but not everything. But then on the other hand, they say it applies to everything. That's I have to word it better.
Yeah, you're saying they're
They
having the
can't
cake
keep.
and eating it. Well, if you're saying they give you a one-word answer in terms of the black swan, as soon as you say refracted, you haven't got a straight line to the horizon anymore.
Yes,
Well, therefore not geometric, like their model.
correct.
Well, that's game over
That
right there. You're
no,
saying
I
what you're saying is you want to undo the chanting. So because they come in and it doesn't matter what you say that disproves their logical argument in their mind to be completely illogical, i.e., well, I'm going to draw a refracted tangent line, a contradiction in terms. Well, at that point, when they just say refraction again, there is no hope for them. They're chanting. You can't undo that. There is no. If you undid it, they'd just find something else to chant, to affirm their belief. So you're pissing in the wind, I'm afraid.
no, I think they're pissing in the wind. I'm just wanting to show them that the way they use that word is pissing in the wind. That's my whole point. It doesn't even answer anything because it can't answer the geometric flaw.
Sure, but you started this conversation by saying after explanation he still said refraction. Well, yeah. After you take it apart and explain you can't have something that's a straight line be refracted, it's a contradiction in terms, and they say, yeah, but it's refracted. What are you going to do with someone like that? You can't. You
Well,
can't
this
do
is my
anything with that.
point.
Well, you can't,
That's my
what are you
point.
trying to achieve?
No, that's my point. You can't achieve much because they're denying the basic geometry right there and they lose the argument. It's over and that's all we need to say. But after that show, I got to thinking. I said, now that guy is self deluded into thinking refraction actually overcomes the geometric argument that we're giving them with R. And so now, why does he think that way? And then I started thinking about what everybody on that side of the argument says. Well, everything's refracted. Well, that got me thinking, well, if everything's refracted, why are they just solely saying the geometric horizon is refracted? Shouldn't the oil platforms be refracted? Wouldn't they So if they're refracted too, and it's the raising and lowering of the perspective, right, based on what they say refraction does, then the horizon can never be behind the oil platforms because they would at the same time go up and down.
Yeah.
So they lose by
Yeah.
using a wrong word.
Yes, I agree. I trimmed out a clip of Rumpus saying, the item in the distance is being refracted because of its position, or loomed, he actually said. I'll just get the quote right. It's loomed because of its position with respect to the horizon. That was a quote from Rumpus. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. They've completely backtracked and are now double-speaking around something that is untenable as a model. We know it. They refuse to accept it. When QE said it'll take a minimum of 12 months, some of them, the ones that are here regularly, are starting to show signs of actually understanding the argument in the way that they rebut it. So they think, you recognise the problem, don't you now? Whereas before they didn't even understand what the problem was.
Correct.
Half of them still don't. Well, that's okay. I don't mind banging the same drum for 12 months. I've got no issue with that.
It might take 24 months for these guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's going to take longer for some people.
I think QE's got something, what 10th Man was talking about. He came on last night, and he smacked around your buddy Ed Freeze there for a while. But he was explaining something to me. He said he's working out, so I think it's what 10th Man is talking about.
Do tell.
Oh, I'm not telling. Let him tell. I don't want to get blamed for blowing his cover.
Well,
I'm not getting on his bad side. Something to do with why we see the horizon anyway.
Say again, Neil.
It's something to do with why we see the horizon anyway.
I see. Got a pretty good idea of why we see a horizon, but there we go. Well, it'd be interesting to see what he says. Well, I don't mean that in any sort of condescending way, but having listened to people like Life is Short, he's one of our Patreons actually. Shout out to Life is Short. He's gone through it in such detail and explained it. I even sat with him while he did a show explaining it to an audience. In other words, I was privileged enough to be able to ask him questions, which meant that between Ranty and I, we dragged out what was probably a 2 or 3 hour presentation, admittedly long to begin with, to about 6 or 7 hours. And it was just fantastic, going through, how we see the world. It was just one of those moments in the little journey of discovery that I look back on and I go, that was a fantastic period, where things that were completely alien to me, I hadn't got the vaguest idea how it all worked. And over a fairly prolonged period, I started to get hints of it. And then Life is Short comes along and says, here you go. This is what you guys, literally us, he was talking about what we'd done and what Red Pill had done and various other people, our community, if you like, the people who are closest to us, if you will. This is what you guys have done. And here's how it pulls apart and it gets explained with detailed explanations and detailed diagrams with explanations to go with them. And you're like, it was just glorious. And, within a period, it had gone from having a vague understanding or in some areas a reasonable understanding to having a good understanding because of the amount of hours that Life is Short put into actually going through it. I think I sectioned it out, so it ended up being it was on Ranty's channel live, and then I ended up sectioning it up, chopping it up into various different sections, and then rebroadcasting it as like more digestible, maybe hour-long chunks. I think there were 6 or 7 hour-long shows with Life is Short. But that the concepts of why we have a horizon is not an alien concept to me. I'd like to think I've got a pretty good idea of why we have a horizon. I'm not just going, I know why we've got a horizon. It's just the vanishing point. Well, no, there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, I remember that. So I didn't see the 7-hour one, but I saw the shorter one that he had trimmed himself.
Yeah, he did them in like 45-minute sections when he's obviously can be that little bit more concise when you're just reading it out. So I think he ended up having 6 or 7, again, I can't remember, but they were about 45 minutes long each, Because obviously there's not me and Ranty going, well, how does that work? How does this work? What do you mean by that? What exactly does that word mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember one of the key things I walked away from that was the diffraction limit and all that had to do with perspective, obviously.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things at the time. I vaguely remember, using that as like a catch-all explanation, and it just wasn't accurate to do so. And I was fighting tooth and nail with Ranty because he was saying, no, it's a lot more atmospheric. And I'm like, no, it isn't. Things just get smaller and smaller and smaller and then disappear from the bottom up due to angular limitations. I can explain it here with this diagram in Muppet Vision so that the fundies will understand too. And I explained it to him, he's like, nah, there's more to it than that. There's a lot more to it than that. And Ranty, to his credit, he went out and he actually looked at it and started to dig in and find out what was actually causing a lot of these effects. And the long and short of it is all of them were something to do with the horizon and where it will be on any given day, not just the diffraction limit. In fact, when he pulled apart, life is short still, when he pulled apart Red Pill Philosophy's video with like crystal clear weather, just absolutely ideal weather conditions for long distance photography. And he was like, this is one of the few examples that I can give you where it's only the diffraction limit. In other words, everyone else is saying, look, you can see everything. You can see the road, you can see, there's nothing missing. You're like, yeah, well, there still is. Obviously, things still get too small to see, but in perfect conditions, you can calculate it with the Rayleigh criterion. But only in ideal conditions. Because in anything other than ideal conditions, the horizon's going to be closer. You're going to have a certain amount of the actual atmospheric conditions that we discuss. Things raising and lowering with respect to the horizon. That does actually happen. Now, I didn't want it to happen because I wanted a catch-all defeat the globe model and their assertion that all things disappearing in the distance are only attributable to the geometric horizon being an obstruction. That's the only cause. They only had one. And you have Tim Osmond promoting a list some dude made where he's got all of our quote-unquote excuses. And it's like, no, all of those things are real. The only thing that on the other list is Earth curve. Blame it on R. Doesn't matter what the weather conditions are. If something's not quite matching the model, they'll call a mathematical fudging atmospheric conditions. They call it 7/6R terrestrial refraction. But they only had one cause, because even their terrestrial refraction's still based on the geometry. It's still got an R value in it. So ultimately speaking, they got one cause, Earth curve, and that's it. So once you debunk R, which we have with the Black Swan, you then open the fundies' eyes, whether they like it or not, to all the other conditions that they've denied. So currently they're starting to tell us about how optics play a part, and you're like, that's nothing to do with your model. You've got a terrestrial 7/6R refraction value that you can fudge and manipulate to your heart's content without any conditions being accounted for. And you've got R. And that's it. That is it. So when they start telling us at the moment, as they are, about optics and perspective, you're like, yeah, we know. What do you think we've spent the last 4 years doing? You're just trying to tell us that, like, it's a defence. You've only got one cause to assert, fundies, geometry. Side-on Muppet Vision geometry with an R value giving you a physical curve, Earth curve, the edge, the geometric horizon. That's what you've got. That's it. So, once it's been debunked, what do you fall back on? They fall back on our arguments. Oh, well, we've got this optical effect of blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah. Nothing to do with your maths, though. That's all based in geometry. Got a straight line tangent, and without it, you're screwed.
Well, yeah, because it's the only way to prove the globe is that geometry fitting their 3959. And when that geometry doesn't fit their 3959, then they have to say, okay, well, it's optics. Well, welcome to flat Earth.
Exactly. Like, what are you going to do with optics in your model? You've got a little tagged on Walter Bislin version of optics, which can calculate as a side calculation angular sizes. It's like, well, that's got sod all to do with the actual geometry of your calculation. It's all based on the same thing. You're not going to have Walter Bislin's model conflicting with Mick West's model and National Geographic's model. No, they're all based on exactly the same standard model. 3959 radius, giving you a geometric physical sphere edge horizon. They're all exactly the same. They're not going to vary in any way, shape or form. They can't vary. I remember when Walter Bislin first released his calculator, this calculator's got perspective in it. Like, no, it hasn't. He's showing you an element of perspective in a calculation that's ancillary to the actual Earth curve mathematics. And you even have a comparison with a flat Earth calculation. But does that in any way change the mathematics that they're going to utilise to claim that the horizon's a physical edge? Of course not. As I say, you can't have one conflict with the other. They've got to all toe said line. And if they don't, then that's a big problem. So obviously they're all exactly the same.
It's very difficult, Nathan, for a Baltard, someone who's deep in the trench troll, to come to terms with the fact that it's all been a model, and it's been now explained to him that the model doesn't match reality. So everything has been taken off of this fantasy of this model. So now that we're off the mountain from Al-Biruni to now, and we're able to actually use technology today that Al-Biruni never had, and he never did it right anyway. But what am I trying to say? Very simple. It's a thought experiment. It never was real. There never was a geometric horizon that matches the globe model, and they just can't accept it. It's too much. They have to give up everything.
Acceptance isn't a requirement. Doesn't matter if they accept it. It's been debunked. The model's now untenable, and we can explain why. Their acceptance isn't a requirement I have. I don't care if they accept it. I knew it 4 years ago. We know it's not a sphere. The fact that we've got cast iron proof that they can't rebut just leaves them in a very difficult quandary. Well, what do we do now? Scratch our ass and say refraction over and over again and hope it goes away? No. Once you make a model untenable, you can show your reasons and we'll get on with your day. I've got people at the moment asking me in the comments, well, what is the cause of the horizon? And you feel like saying, I don't care. I mean, I do. I genuinely do. I'm interested. I wouldn't have got away with that little babble about life is short if I wasn't interested. But I'm not making any claims about it. It's not needed to back my justification for the reification of a sphere model. It is required that your horizon, talking to the globehead religious fundies, your requirement is to have a geometric horizon, a physical sphere edge, blocking things in the distance. It's not my requirement. I don't care what it is in that regard. I'm not making an argument that needs the horizon being justified. But they are. Their acceptance of that, or their realisation that suddenly, you realise it doesn't work, so suddenly you're going to demand answers from me? Yeah, right, that'll get a good laugh out of me. Maybe there's other more empathetic in that regard, flat earthers that go out of their way to give them models and reasons and whys and wherefores and answers that frankly aren't required. Just show where their model doesn't work, how we're definitely not stood on a spherical surface, how the earth is obviously and observably flat, and beyond that, if they've got questions about the sun works, alright, go and ask one of your lying astronomers. Maybe while you're at it, ask them why they told you it was 93 million miles away with this presuppositional R value, giving you a physical geometric sphere edge that isn't tenable. Maybe ask them that, instead of asking me, the guy showing you how they've misled you. I don't know, it's not my responsibility to now go back to the people who do currently claim what the stars, or what they call stars, lights in the sky are. Ask them. They're punting it all over TV at your own expense with taxpayers' money. Go and ask them. While you're at it, maybe give them a nudge about why they would mislead you. Me, I don't care. I don't want any answers from them. Joyous that it is to be thinking, wow, isn't it wonderful to not know? Most people aren't of that ilk. They're like, if I don't know, that's terrible. You must tell me. You're the one who's told me it's wrong. It's like, all right. I didn't lie to you.
Well, all you did was welcome him to flat Earth.
Yeah, go on, Neil. Got about 60 seconds.
I missed that you have 2 shows on Friday.
Oh. I'm going to have movie night tonight with my kids.
Well done.
The only thing you're guilty of, Nathan, is welcoming them to flat Earth, which is the best thing you could ever tell them because it's the plain truth.
Yeah, and they don't want it. It's not because they want to accept that the argument's untenable. It's because they know from being the troll that's trolled us what will wait them when they accept it. They'll know that they're falling into a world of ridicule. So for the trolls here, that is why they fight it. Because they know that society will treat them like dirt. They're treating us like dirt. They are well aware of it. They don't want to be flat earthers. They don't want to accept that they've had a lie perpetrated upon them. Far from it. That's a fate worse than death for a lot of the trolls. They don't want to accept that it's not what they think. They don't want to accept that it's not their religious belief. That's a tragic, tragic position to be in. It's just pride, basically.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Got a frog in my throat. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Righteous Force, 10th Man, Chocolate Sane, who else we got? Mind Warped, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hey.
Morning. Thanks for the nod, Nathan. I appreciate it.
Did I miss you, Paul? I'm really sorry. Not intentional.
Your volume's down, Mind Warp.
Come again?
Mind Warp
how's
is trying to say. Yeah, it's much better.
Well, good to have you all. I'm going to do a quick plug. So I've got a playlist that I've made. And it was at request, so hence me plugging it, because I assumed people would be all keen and it would get bazillion views. Not that it hasn't done okay, but nevertheless, there's a playlist for each of the housekeeping questions. It's the first playlist on the list when you go into Nathan Oakley 1980 channel. So check it out, share it. It's very digestible, short, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 minute clips per housekeeping question. And then there's a couple of 15-minute-ish, maybe 10-minute debates where there's a couple of specific housekeeping questions covered. So it's a good playlist to share, or some of the individual videos if you want something to open a conversation about something regarding housekeeping. So we're going to go through it now after welcoming Arwin. So hello, Arwin.
Hello.
Hello. Also a plug for tomorrow's Ballbusters. So be here or be sphere. And it's 1 PM Central, 2 PM Eastern, 7 PM UK on the Quantum Eraser channel. So we'll be covering the top 3. There is obviously overlap between the housekeeping questions and the top 3 Ballbusters, which will be on, as I say, Quantum Eraser channel, 1 PM Central, 2 PM Eastern, and 7 PM UK time. That's Saturday. So be here or be sphere. Should we go on with a bit of housekeeping?
Yeah.
Any evidence of a physical Earth curve edge, formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from my front door.
Yeah, they needed to be there in order to bring up the excuse that there must be satellites in outer space. How crazy is that? Because if there wasn't any curvature in between because of a geometrical sphere edge, then radio towers would just be able to do almost anything except get in between mountains. And they don't like that idea because they like to imagine there's satellites up there floating, doing all that work for them. Sorry.
Yeah, right on.
In other words, no.
Yeah. Like
there,
that.
yeah. Talking of
Gotcha.
presuppositional orbits, any evidence of gravity?
Well, whatever gravity is, there certainly doesn't seem to be a point where this effect, which could definitely be considered caused by relative density, stops at any point. There's no evidence for this whatsoever.
There's no gravitas for gravity.
Very funny.
Any evidence of axial rotation?
Not of the Earth-based variety.
Well, if there was actual rotation, then the evidence would be so abundant, we would not even consider there not to be any.
Yeah, I agree with that. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, not the distance.
It's over there.
I was just waiting for that. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
There's hypothesis, but not viable.
They're working on it. They're just never really getting there.
They don't follow the method properly, is what I'm saying.
I got you. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Well, since there's no evidence for a presupposed spherical Earth since R died, no.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No.
I have a gas pressure story if you want to hear it.
Ah, hey Brian. Yeah, I'll have a good gas pressure story.
Hey, how are things?
Very well.
I made a video there a couple of years ago, and I did. I admittedly the video is wrong. The stuff in it is wrong, and I leave it up there for the exact scenario that I'm going to tell you about. Stuff in it about gas pressure and different things. Now I say it's wrong. There's just a couple of small terms that are wrong. Like I state unequivocally that you cannot have gas pressure without a container and things like that. But Blue Marble Science, for some reason, latched on to this video. Now, why he ended up on my channel, because I'm not really a YouTuber, and found this video, I don't know. But he decided he was going to make a video about it. And I told him, well, I know the video is wrong. And it's an old video, and I leave it up there for the exact scenario for someone like him to come in and have a go. And I asked him, I said, why don't you debate me? And he says he will. So he's debating me on Wednesday on Jose's, because he won't debate me anywhere else. But he made a video, and he sent over loads of trolls over to my channel to this video to go on and give me a hard time about all the things that are wrong in the video. Now, I didn't watch his video, but my video is wrong. There's things in it that are wrong, but there's things in it that aren't wrong, right? Right, but they're wrong to them because they don't agree with them, things like that. But some of the terms I use and stuff were not 100% correct. But there's three funny things. One is that the trolls that are coming over to my video and my channel are actually getting stuff wrong while they're trying to troll me on a wrong video. Right? That's the first part. The second part is the person who made the video has two videos claiming to show gas pressure without a container, which is an absolute impossibility. And the third funny thing is there's a thing in that, a concept in the video, there's only a stupid concept that is wrong about, that the ballers are trolling about, that is actually part of their rhetoric. So that's my gas pressure story.
Okay, so
can I ask which part is that? Would that be the last part you just spoke about?
Yeah, that's what
I talk.
I
talk. Sorry, you're going to say something, Nathan?
No, I was just going to say that's exactly what I was going to ask. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, it's just I put to give an explanation as to how this is a couple of years ago because I didn't know at the time, to give an explanation, just a concept of how the gas stays down and doesn't rise up, right? Because there was all those questions about how what was the questions you used to ask, like even though we're enclosed, they were all asking loads of stupid questions a couple of years ago about how does the gas not go straight up though? How does it not equalize and all this kind of stuff? And I gave the explanation of, well, the weight of the gas itself would and all the water vapor that would be coming back down and stuff like that. This is what I was angling at the time, would hold it down. Now it was a wrong concept, right? It was just a concept, and I stated it just a concept, not as a fact or anything, just as a concept. It was a wrong concept. But that's the very thing that they're trying to assert, that the weight of the atmosphere is holding it down. You know what I mean?
So they're making fun of you for saying the weight of the atmosphere will hold it down,
Yeah.
But yet now that's what they're saying is holding it down.
Yeah, but they're making fun of me for that. And another thing.
That's
You know.
Of course they are.
Woo!
So
That's great.
yeah, and the guy who made the video about me has 2 videos stating that you can have gas pressure without a container. So, that's my story.
Very interesting. I'm gonna remember that next time somebody comes in here. Is we ask them how do we still have this gas? And the gas has weight. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Any Globers in here want to tell us how we have gas? And anyone?
If not, it's the last housekeeping question anyway.
Yeah, and about gas having weight, right? It technically does, but yeah, that doesn't mean it's not being subjected to relative density and not the conceptual approach of gravity where everything's supposedly pulled to the earth. So, like, the argument that gas has weight holds no weight, ironically.
Yeah, because you can't weigh it. You can only calculate an amount and calculate a weight off of that amount. How are you supposed to weigh something that doesn't have a linear downward force?
You could technically weigh it in a natural setup, like in a vacuum chamber, when it in a hard balloon or anything. But the argument in itself holds no weight because effectively out in the open, which is nature, the realm, our container, it's subjected to relative density. So the relative density will make lighter gas simply go up and heavier gas go down. So it's not relevant. Gas having weight is just not relevant to the argument.
And how do you weigh a gas?
You'd need a container.
Oh,
You put it in a balloon. Yeah, you put it in a container, that's right.
You got to put it in something? Okay. That's interesting, being that they're saying the gas is not in something, but yet still has weight. That's cute.
Well, technically, it could still have weight, but there's no way to measure that unless you contain it. Ironically. But the whole thing is a red herring. Gas having weight is not an argument to anything.
Go on, Neil.
It doesn't have gravity.
Well interrupted.
Yeah, I was just saying, when I'm doing air conditioning with my brother, we weigh the gas. We have to have an empty container first. We put that in a scale, and then when we fill it up, we know how much is in there by subtracting what the container was. But yes, you need a container.
Okay. Gotcha. Need a container in order to weigh the gas. Copy that.
Yeah, Adam.
Good morning. Are we in the middle of housekeeping? Sorry.
No, we're done with housekeeping.
Oh, I'm so elated to tell you guys that we have our actually, no, it's not our very first. I don't want to disrespect other people who hold on.
I'm holding.
He's got a better mic.
Yeah, I was going to say I had to turn it down.
Thank you. And now I have my family screaming in the background. But oh God,
Well, you don't need a mic for that.
I'm so much better for you.
I'm going to say it quickly. We now officially have our mainstream flat Earth music freaking video. It is fully full-fledged flat Earth, up and down, by a well-known group, and the video gave me the chills. It's from Caravan Palace. It's called Moonshine. I suggest everyone look it up right now. Well, I mean, in the audience after the show.
Hold on. Give us the title and artist again.
The name of the group is called Caravan Palace, and the song is called Moonshine. The video just dropped, like I think yesterday. I've been sharing around the teaser, and in the teaser, it shows a guy sitting in front of his computer looking at flat Earth, and it pulls up the globe, and the globe starts to melt, and it's like under this illusion, the words illusion, and it's like a whole bunch of fake pop-up screens about flat Earth, and then the guy. Anyway, I don't want to give up too much of it, but you guys have to check it out. It is officially a mainstream attempt, and I don't know what that means.
Okay, does it play on MTV? Or can it only be found on YouTube? How mainstream is it?
I mean, it like I said, the last song that they did reached 51 million views. So, like I said, this is like this is not some side kind of, you know what I mean, group.
Have you got a link?
Okay, but that's not an answer to my question, though.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I mean,
that would be my gauge as well.
Yeah.
So if it's on MTV, that's like mainstream pop.
Well, yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. The problem for me is I don't watch MTV, so I don't gauge things from that perspective. I gauge it from how popular is it on YouTube. Okay, do I hear it in other places? And it is a popular group, so.
Well, while that might be good enough for you youngsters, me and Arwin are both pushing 40, and god damn it, we want it on MTV if it's going to be called popular.
I do not share the opinions with the show host in that case. But
well, if it's not on American Bandstand, the boomer's not happy.
No.
Yeah,
it's
Casey
mainstream.
Kasem is going to be announcing that.
No, it's mainstream when it's going to be aired regularly on TMZ.
Look, let's just cut through the crap. Is it in the hit parade or not?
Soul Train.
The hit parade? What do you mean?
I love it. Clearly that just showed your age. No idea what the hit parade is. Great.
Neil, you gotta say Soul Train right. Come on, man.
Look, are there any regular radio channels? Are there regular radio channels that are going to air this so that people at work in big corporations are going to hear that level?
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Was that yes? Oh, yes. Wow. Okay. Now that's pricked my ears up. It'll play on the radio. Okay.
Yes, I meant to say yes. Because like I was trying to say before, the Caravan Palace is a well-known group. Like they what's the name of that? Okay, I don't know them, but I know they're a well-known group. My girl loves them, so this is how I know that this video came out, because my girl was like, don't freak out. I'm about to show you a video, and I know how you are with Flat Earth. Don't freak out. And she shows me the teaser, and I'm like, get the fuck out! Acting like a 9-year-old girl.
I have to say, though, I'm sorry that it's not the first mainstream Flat Earth video. The first one was B.O.B.
I was going to say B.O.B., yeah. Yeah, B.O.B. beat them to it, but so what? It's cool, right?
But B.O.B. never really did a full video, with and I don't know how many songs he's done, but this is like a straight up dedication. Not only that, it was only released 1 day ago, and it has 287K views, 42K likes, 278 dislikes.
Well, at least the debut didn't fall flat.
Okay, right. I'm gonna put something out there, and I just let's get each your opinions on this next idea. So, could it be a possibility for me? 4 might be 5 years ago now. First, come to the subject, and people were claiming that Flat Earth was a quote CIA psyop to muddy the waters of 9/11 truth. That was what was being punted around. Now, while I don't agree with any sort of notion that Bigfoot's here to muddy the waters of fluoride truth or whatever the hell your comparison is, I don't care. Sorry, chocolate, to throw you under the bus. Anyway, the idea that we could.
Okay.
Sorry, man. The idea
from
that
Bigfoot.
I wasn't trying to throw Bigfoot under the bloody bus either. It doesn't matter. It's
I
just.
know. I'm just trying to be annoying.
Ugh. Right. Given that we are to a certain extent, I don't feel, or I didn't feel until coronavirus came along, like until that, I didn't actually feel like I was in any way suppressed. I do now, but I think that could just be the case across the whole of YouTube. So when I see other car YouTubers saying that they're feeling the pinch, even though they're making videos, I'm like, well, that's very interesting. Maybe I'm not alone in this. Maybe I'm just paranoid. But ultimately speaking, while I've had my trials and tribulations on YouTube, I've never particularly felt like they've tried to shut me down because I'm talking about the nature of reality and what I think is absolutely cast iron, can't be debunked, a lot of it validated by science. So based on that, I've not felt the suppression. But given that we are definitely in a lie system, we're not on a sphere, and that's definitely the religion of the Western world, the most predominant religion. Most people don't even realise they're in a religion. But why would it be the case that we would be in any way tolerated? And what I mean by that is to say, my question is, could it be the case that we are part of that mainstream machine? We're just another cog. Now, I'm not asking you to sort of speculate on the purpose of why that might be, but just could that be the case? In other words, we're here with a purpose. Flat Earth's got its place in the big scheme of their plans, if there is a they, and they have plans. Do you see what I'm going with?
Well, yes, I'd like to respond to that. I have my theories about that as well. By basically allowing a heavy truth element into the system and allowing engagement to that in a certain controlled fashion, I think they probably figured out that by doing that, they can prevent the rise up of like very serious opposition from people that are not being helped in any way with their needs, with their spiritual truth needs, that would become much more devious, much more hostile and aggressive to take over. And by basically giving it some hand, there's less hostility because of that. There's suspicion and people are like, yeah, I got my eye on you, but they're not like secretly planning some kind of terror shit. See? I think that is probably the long-term reason why they allowed this to happen like that. Because it was going to be one way or the other. Does
Sure.
it make
I
any
mean,
sense?
the flow of the information's certainly been stemmed. While I say I don't feel like I've been suppressed, it's certainly been the case that towards the beginning of my time on YouTube talking about this subject, we were given free rein to just reach anybody who, with the algorithm allowing a YouTube channel to grow as it would naturally grow. And with a fledgling subject, that was great. But very quickly, it was the case that, your Simon Dans and your Professor Daves and your Dr. Becky's go right up the list. Even Engineering Explained, will go farther up the list for a flat Earth search now, including, NBC, CBS, BBC, all the rest of them, Vice. So you've got all of these different alternative non-flat Earth, anti-flat Earth, if you will, that come to the top of the list, which is suppressing the information to stem the flow. So is it the case that we're just being kept in a holding pool? In other words, just let them thrash around over there, and that generally won't affect the majority of people. Is that maybe the case? Is that what you're driving at, Arwin?
Yes, but also to still give some breathing room for those that kind of fall outside of the general system. The oppositional defined disorder people, the truth at heart that just can't let it go and all that, If there was nothing like this, if there was no place where this kind of truth would reign, then they would be even further imprisoned, even further pushed, stressed out, and that could lead to more dangerous situations. That was my angle to it.
Okay.
I just put that Caravan Palace video on and watched it. That guy was just mentioning that's fully a flat Earth video. It's quite good.
Can I have Nathan's response?
Oh, sorry.
It's just there isn't one hour in. It's purely speculation, and I'm glad of your opinion. Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else got an opinion on this? Are we part of the system?
I think as the more we talk about this and the bigger it gets, the more part of the system we become. I don't think it was meant to be a part of the system, like we're literally against the quote unquote system. But
Right.
becoming more mainstream is, I think, just getting this topic more familiar into the mainstream mind. And
Well,
I
it
think that's
definitely
why
is.
they
Like,
fight
if
so hard to stop this, because just getting people, like, we obviously know there are certain people that will never ever, no matter how much evidence you can throw in their face or their entire experience living on a flat stationary plane, they'll never accept that, right? But then there are people who just thinking about it will give them that opening to come into it. Just giving themselves the permission to think about their world in a different way will allow them to eventually, maybe not at first, they might, reject it and fight against it, but that's, natural reaction. But I think at some point, people will open up to this and it will become a lot more mainstream.
this
Case
video
of,
that guy just talked
I
about is
agree.
definitely gonna bring some people, because I just watched it. It's really cool. It's Caravan Palace, and the song's called Moonshine. What that guy was just talking about.
Yeah,
They've
that's
got
nice.
1.3 million subscribers, and yeah, one day they've. I can play. If I played it and with no sound, would you get a strike or?
Probably.
Yes, absolutely we
Okay.
would. Yeah, and we
Alright.
were in the middle of a conversation, so
That's okay.
I agree. Chocolate pointed out a detail that I didn't
Hang on a
mention.
second.
What I
That's pretty
mentioned
rude,
about
man.
was the
It
early.
fully was.
Dude,
It was completely relevant. It was. You were talking about going mainstream, and this is a perfect example of that.
yeah, to be fair, Owen, the video, that video did start this conversation.
true.
But it's,
Yeah.
But I had a good
Pretty
point
rude, man.
because
I'm back.
what I
I'm
described
listening,
was kind of the onset. It's the startup position. Like, we got to give them some kind of room, or they'll be more hazardous, and it will have more backlash. That was the beginning of it. That's probably the reason they even allowed the flat Earth to break through on YouTube, in a limited fashion. But yeah, it seems like it has caught on, and there's a sliding scale, and it's sliding up into the mainstream indeed, and it's gradually, slowly happening.
Okay.
I didn't mention that part yet.
Fine.
but,
That's where I
chocolate-
can lead on from, Armin. So you say catching on. Given that we understand here the level of control the media that the media is under, then why would you be in under any other impression than what is being allowed out is very much being allowed out under strict control? Because everything that's let out in the media is under strict control. Now, in terms of what you actually face as an individual, in other words, your appreciation as an individual, not your realization through YouTube, but just you as an individual looking out your window or looking at something with a camera, that's you, and you're responsible for your own reality. However, the reality of the masses is governed by our governors, the government, and what they think and feel is very much dictated to them through the mainstream media channels, in the most part, or at least they're softened up to whatever they're going to be told they're going to be doing when they're being governed by the mainstream media. So they're softened up to changes in their laws and things like that. We're just talking normies here. So given that that is the case, surely we can't not be, if we're reaching mainstream audiences. If Mark Sargent's on national British TV talking to millions of people live about this subject, well, at some level, somebody has said yes to that. And, if it wasn't tolerable, then it wouldn't be tolerated. But it certainly seems to be tolerated. And I'm not saying we're being promoted, far from it. The flow is being stemmed, but a flow there is, and that suggests to me that a flow is being allowed. They could just dam it up if they wanted to, if that makes sense in the analogy.
It's a useful tool for them if it's nefarious based, because they can identify with their mass surveillance system who is behind flat Earth and support flat Earth arguments like our show and our chat room and everything else. So it's good for identification of those pesky freedom lovers.
Oh, right. That's an interesting spin. In other words, You're saying that people who recognise the nature of their reality, chances are going to be a little bit more or a little bit less compliant when it comes to certain government controls. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, I mean, just about everything that they are doing, that other topics, which I don't need to bring because this flat earth talk right now, we have views on those. And so when I talk to normies, they're mainstream all the way. They think I'm crazy. They think this thing that no, something even other than flat earth. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're a flat earther. You're really crazy. And now you bring this other thing here. And so we're breaking through the veneer of the lies because the whole system has to lie to have control over the sheep. And we're sheep with eyes open. We're going to our fellow sheep with eyes closed and telling them, look at here. Here's the proof. And they're just brainwashed. And so now if they use how do they know who I am unless I have a forum to go on and talk? And then when I go on the forum to talk, now they know who I am. Okay, we're going to mark him. Just watch him closely.
Okay, I mean, I fit between two different thoughts in that regard. So again, a couple of years ago, there were certain things that Jaronism was doing on his channel that were having what seemed to me like a direct impact on things that you could access or rhetoric that was going out to the public. Things were changing, and it seemed to be, or at least it seemed to me to be, a direct effect of what Jaron was talking about. He'd talk about something and then it would change the following day, and you're like, that can't be coincidence. And then a couple of times it happened to us, so you think, well, somebody somewhere must be watching you closely, whoever that somebody is, and whatever their reason in this instance is only qualifiable by the thing that you can look at, use, talk to an audience about, come back to the following day and see it's completely changed and go, you get a string of those coincidences and start thinking, yeah, maybe they are keeping a close eye on us. And if we are a cog in a wheel, there's got to be a certain amount of grease added to it every so often. It's got to be maintained, someone's got to keep an eye on it, basically. So are we just that?
Well, they can't stop the natural nature of every human being wanting to have adventure and to be curious, but they need to control it. So by allowing it, they know who we are, and they minimize it by labeling us all conspirators, conspiracy theorists, and they've made that word bad, but they're the one, CIA is the one who invented that word based on a few videos I've seen. So it doesn't matter where it comes from. It's the way that the general public looks at a flat earther. I mean, I've seen it. I've talked to people. They can't answer one of our housekeeping questions, but they'll make fun of me. But they look the fool.
Perfect example for that.
My opinion would be that
this morning
Hold on, Brian.
I went on to. I'm sorry.
This
morning I went on to some stream where these guys were streaming a train, just going along the train track somewhere in Europe or something like that. And it's just a straight line with train traveling across the tracks. And I went in there and I said, "Hey, anybody have any idea where the curvature will kick in in this video?" And I got timed out immediately. Like nobody responded, nobody said anything. The guy just timed me out immediately. So I waited a little bit. The second question I asked was, I just asked where the curve is, guys. Timed out again. I waited a little bit. I type again. I said, all I was trying to point out was this is a lot of level ground for what's supposed to be a ball, and then I got banned. And the guy says to me, I'm banning you for being one of those flat earthers," which just made me
How
laugh
dare you?
because it's just funny. But it's like that's the type of thing. It's like you're watching. You guys are all sitting in here. It's like 130 people in the chat. You guys are all sitting here watching this train just go from station to station. No curvature, no nothing. And all I asked was where would that kick in, and I got banned. It's just for being one of those flat earthers, So it's like there's still kind of that stigma of, oh, you're one of those people that just think that you live on a flat plane, but meanwhile I just can't ask about the curvature that you believe in. That's a problem. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that was funny.
And in the end times, many shall be offended.
Exactly.
They were just afraid you were going to derail their video, Chocolate.
I was waiting. I should have known.
You were way off track on that one, man.
King
Way
of
off
Pun.
track.
So, are you guys familiar with 1984?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the scene where he's being tortured and his torturer explains to him that the mathematics of the stars could be near or far?
I remember you sharing that one time. I can't remember it, but when you shared it, it made sense.
So, in summary, he basically is describing a global heliocentric world with the stars that are very distant. And the torturer explains that it's not beyond the mathematicians to have a dual system of astronomy. They can be close if they want them to be close. They can be far if they want them to be far. The stars, that is. Now, obviously, as a flat earther, that strikes a chord with me, but the reason I led to this point... I'll shout out. Just give me a second to shout this super chat. I'll read it off the iPad rather than struggling on my big screen. Please check your Discord messages from me. God Scalpel, thank you very much for the super chat. I don't know how to do that. So, I know how to get into the live stream. That's about it. But thank you. I'll see if I can figure that out. The reason I was leading up to this question was to say that only purely based on that one little entry from 1984, that hint is enough for me to ask this question. Could it be the case that what is currently ridiculed and downplayed, potentially censored, or as I was describing it, having the flow stemmed, well, could it be the case that that eventually becomes widely accepted as obvious by most people? Could we have a paradigm change? That's my question.
I think so.
Yeah, that was kind of where my comment was going to go to.
In what direction are you saying the paradigm will change?
I'm saying that could it be the case that let's give it a reasonably short time frame. So let's say 10 years. That 10 years from now, what are we in now? 2030, you've got people saying, yeah, well, of course it's flat. Yeah, I realise people used to think that it was a ball. That's just silly, though. It's obviously flat. We always knew that. Everybody always knew that.
Yeah, my comment was along those lines. What I was going to say is that technically, without sounding conspiratorial or anything, technically we are the new world order. Because we are the new world that a lot of people keep talking about. I hear people speak about, like people like over the years, like years ago, David Wilcox and all these kind of conspiracy people talking about there's a new world coming. And it's going to be difficult, but we'll get through it. But then they're the exact people who will go against this type of thing. What's going to happen, I think, is what you're just saying there, Nathan, is that it's just going to be things that bit by bit people are just going to accept it. Because it's going to come out bit by bit, and people are going to be saying in 10 years' time, yeah, it's totally flat.
Well, I didn't think...
it could go another direction, though. I mean, that's one direction, perhaps, or it could go the other direction. I mean, why do you think all the conditioning for aliens is? Well, how if they go to the direction of aliens and propping that up through technology, or in my case, I believe they're going to be demons anyway. Then is flat Earth really the issue, or is it, hey, there's aliens? Well, if there's aliens, then there must be outer space, because obviously aliens wouldn't be part of flat Earth.
Not at all. No. There are certainly people with various different models that are certain
Give me your best, Loogie.
That are certain infinite plane. And, I had it on screen earlier with the Kobayashi, model with all the different ponds on the perimeter of...
Yeah.
Well, that idea would give you perfectly feasible aliens. They're just not up. They're out towards the horizon. They're out rather than up. On the other Terra, given that we're on terra firma and we have other what are already deemed as illegal aliens, i.e. people from another land, well, that transposition isn't hard to process cognitively if you think about those further aliens being beyond what you can see on screen now. Further out, there's other lands, and they have got people that we've never encountered. Had you never encountered a Chinese person, and then suddenly the lands were opened up for us to see that land, and then you encounter Chinese people, you'd be like, well, these are alien people to me. Now, could it be that there's another, I don't know, what colour haven't we had so far? Indigo coloured, blueberry coloured people somewhere out in a different land, and we're like, wow, we never thought we'd come across a nation of blue people, but they just look basically like us, but with bluish skin. Why not? Well, they'd be aliens, wouldn't they? But they haven't come from the sky, just from other land, other terra.
Yeah, it could go that way too. It's just the whole point of what is the purpose of keeping us in the dark in the first place? What is behind the lie initially, or the lies?
Oh, control.
And then,
that's an easy question.
Yes.
It's always about control. Power, control. Some people say money.
Yes.
Some people say that's meaningless and an irrelevant part of the equation. And in many ways, I agree with them. But yeah, certainly power, control over people.
Right. So as long as they have control, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right on. Well, I'm saying in other words, the globe is seated in that control structure, and the start of this question was just us being a cog, but ultimately, if that cog turns into a giant wheel that happens to be a new face of a different religious belief based in another reified model that just happens to be flat. It's still a model, it's still reified, you've still got, some sort of bloody sun worship going on for the sake of argument. In other words, there's all sorts of aspects of heliocentricity and its religious elements weaved into one aspect of our reality. Flat Earth is just an aspect. There really isn't a great deal to the fact that it's flat. It's just an aspect. Literally, in geographical or topographical terms, that's one aspect to our world. But to take that and make a model out of it, make a religion out of it, that wouldn't be too difficult. So suddenly we get caught up in just because it's flat, there's all these other bullshit that might get strapped onto it as part of another control structure. And obviously we've got no say in that. It's whoever's the powers that should not be in that regard.
Well, aren't we watching a display of that now with the current situation in certain terms and ways and things that are being said and done?
You mean in terms of the COVID 1984 muscle flex? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing people who are experts lie, and numbers and stats being stacked up, told to say, make sure you put this on the death certificate, and you've got this coming from everywhere. And so it's like, my goodness, it's right here in front of me. They're doing it with this. They did the same thing with the nature of the earth with this, and all the other 9/11 and all the other things. They're doing it again.
Yeah.
And so the masses are just following.
Yeah. What does that tell you? So you recognise it. You've seen it. It's not been shoved under your nose, but it's obviously come across your path because of the nature of who you are and how you are, and you're saying that's why they want to keep us logged, as you described in your answer. Well, the general normies aren't doing that, are they? They're not doing what you've done. They're not in any way recognising it. You might have what are called or deemed conspiracy theorists screaming at them until they're blue in the face with the statistics written on chalkboards. But, those people's label gets attributed in the mainstream. If you can find anything on the protests that are currently going on in regards to COVID, they're just deemed conspiracy theorists. It's just the same old stuff.
What you guys are talking about is actually happening here in Australia at the moment. Our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, they've developed an app, right? And they're going to make it, if we want to get out of our lockdown.
Oh, CIA have got him.
Yeah, he'll come back, finish it off. Yeah, that's...
and then what it'll do, everyone, for it to work, everyone has to have it on their phone, and it logs if you come near someone, and if they get COVID-19, then it like works out who they were near and can backtrack it, and he's going to make that compulsory. But they won't tell us how much data it collects about us. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So you can just say control then.
Yeah, pretty much. So it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's pretty much just they're going to put some kind of app on your phone that's going to track you, and then they'll loosen the grip they have on us.
Not once they have it.
No, and this is not a lie. This was on the news tonight. He's saying, if you want us
right.
if you want to get back to normal quickly, we're gonna get this app, and if we make it mandatory, anyone with a phone has to get it. So if that happens, I'm getting rid of my phone. Not because I've got anything to hide, but because I just think it's a load of rubbish.
You've got to be careful with your phraseology. It's not that it's not a lie. This is a mainstream report.
Yes. Well, and it was announced by our Prime Minister as well.
Yeah, this is an accurate... You are informing us accurately of the reported information.
Yes.
Yes. Just to be clear.
Yes, I am. It's happening. It's happening, and they actually had the data analysis come on, saying he needs to be more clear about what data this collects and stuff like that, because there could be serious breaches of privacy and stuff like that. So people are concerned.
That's good.
As they should be.
Yeah, I was going to say, as it should be.
You've got a director of WHO saying that because everyone is forced into their homes, that now they're going to have to go into each home and check, because it's probably being passed around there. So this is part of their whole plan. They're going to say, if you're asymptomatic, we have the right to check you, put a swab in your mouth and put something in your nose, collect your DNA, tag you, basically. Well,
they're making it
right?
that the asymptomatic person is the most dangerous one. Or if you're not sick and you don't have any symptoms, you're the worst out of all of them. You're the one making everyone sick. So that's like anyone, really. So everyone's confined to their homes.
It's the perfect tool for the global elites to use to gain control of the whole world, is to use a virus.
Exactly.
It's not them. They're going to hide behind a virus that doesn't work the way they say. And if you don't have it, you have it.
Governments will never let a good catastrophe go to waste to implement more restrictive rules on people.
Well,
Cuomo
in New York Cuomo said that he's going to keep the lockdown in New York for 12 months. You might as well kiss New York goodbye if that happens. All right. Well, it won't happen because people will hit the streets before that. Just like we're seeing people hit the streets now, which is exactly what they want. People hitting the streets so they could do their medical martial law.
You're not.
I think there are cities in the U.S. where they are hitting the streets.
Hold on. I heard Neil first. Go ahead, Neil.
I said they ain't keeping me in my house for 12 months. They're out of their freaking minds.
I've just posted in the side chat here, Nathan, the ABC link about the app if you wanted to share it. So just to show you just how Orwellian Australia's become.
No, it won't let me. Not from my country.
Yeah. Well, it was just on the news how Trump's plan to reopen America goes as follows in certain phases. So the gyms will be open, stuff like that. Phase 1. You know what? I forgot what would be phase 2 and phase 3 because I can't find the pop up. But it was like it was on the news somewhere.
This is a direct result of the world, especially. Sorry. This is a direct result of the world, especially the medical practitioners of the world, and the government, political people of the world who aren't involved in any big scam. This is a direct result of them and the world in general, not demanding evidence of this supposed new virus. This is what this is about. People did not demand evidence. They just went along, and now they're going to be in a situation where it's been used as an app on your phone in Australia against you. This supposed thing that there hasn't been proof that it wasn't around last year and the year before and the year before that and so on. It's just the same thing that they're making something out of. They haven't proven that it's not, and that it is a new thing. All they've proven is that they have a new reaction to it. That's the only proof. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe it is a new thing, but there isn't proof that I have seen that it is. And this is why we're in the position we're in, because people were just too lazy to actually go and want to find out. The WHO said X, and everyone else went, okay, Y, and that's it. Every medical practitioner says, yeah, you can definitely trust them because they always, are right, and they always have our best interests at heart. This is it. This is what we're dealing with. Every doctor, every scientist that went along with them, every political person that went along.
Can you guys see my screen at all?
Yeah, I've been
sharing.
presenting
I'm
it.
not sure.
Yeah, I've had it up while Brian was talking.
Yeah, basically, so that's our Prime Minister there. Are you sharing my screen? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. So, coronavirus lockdowns could end in months if Australians are willing to have their movements monitored. So basically, it's an app. They're saying they're going to have it ready in 2 weeks, and they need at least 40% of the population to go on. They're saying at the moment it's opt-in only and not mandatory, but that's being changed. The last statement I heard was that it's they're going to think about making it mandatory. And it says here, it is understood the app would plot who had spent 15 minutes or more in close proximity with a person who proves to be COVID-19 positive. So
whoever they
crazy.
want.
It's pretty scary, really.
I'm just going to do a couple of quick super chat shout outs. So MC Universe Sacred Truth Keeper says the one is a remainder of what is otherwise a symphony of mathematical precision. Oh, it's a quote from The Matrix. The one is a reminder of what is otherwise a symphony of mathematical... Jesus Christ. Try that again. The one is a reminder of what is otherwise a symphony of mathematical precision, but it is not beyond our measure of control. Blah, blah, blah. The architect, from Matrix 2. Right on. Also a shout out to, if I can find it, give me 1 second. Eric McKinney says, all who didn't trusted the media or government before COVID-19, why do so many trust them now and ridicule and disparage those who have questions? ?
Well, we've always been ridiculed for asking questions, haven't we? Because we've all been made to look... Oh, man. Is that a troll in Discord or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone that asks questions, we're automatically labelled a tin-foil hat-wearing weirdo. But I'm kind of... I know coronavirus is bad, but the positive that comes out of this is it's opening up people's eyes to what's really going on.
This is why we need
Elijah.
Me to be a mod or something. Yeah.
Sorry?
You just had a whole bunch of music playing while you were talking. Somebody.
Yeah, I had to close the line. I've sorted him out now. I've moved him.
Yeah, I was just saying, like COVID-19, even though it's bad, it's kind of paving the way for people to actually see what's really going on behind the scenes. Like we all kind of know what's going on. We have a general gist of things, but most people don't. They just got their blinkers on. But this is kind of opening the eyes of many people. So that's one of the good things to come out of this.
But the problem is, there's a lot of people on the conspiracy side who come up with some kind of logic, but then come up with a lot of nonsense to go with it, or they come up with something that ends up not being substantiated, and they end up looking bad. So people have more trust in better the devil you know kind of thing.
Exactly. There are those in the conspiracy theory movement that do ruin it for some because they just act completely mental. But all in all, we're just like free thinkers, we think outside the box. Like when things don't add up, we question things, whereas most people don't. They just go along their ordinary day and ignore everything.
David Icke is very relevant at the moment because this is kind of what he's been talking about for a long time. But even that David Icke is pushing the 5G thing. So
David Icke,
if it's proven, so even though David Icke, I think he's a brilliant speaker. I mean, he's very confident. He's very good at getting his message across. But the problem is he's pushing the 5G thing, And he's not a flat earther either, but I don't hold that against him. But he's pushing the 5G thing, and if it's absolutely proven that 5G has nothing to do with it, even if 5G was dangerous or not, it was proven that 5G had nothing to do with it, right? And I don't believe
Well,
5G
I
is
can
what's
say for a
dangerous, like they say.
fact.
It's gonna.
I,
I'm just gonna say it's gonna look bad for him, no matter what he was saying. Then it disparages it. Go on, sorry.
I think that while we're in lockdown, 5G is going in, and it could be one of two things. It could be because a lot of people will try and stop it. So while everyone's in lockdown, they're going to try and bring it out quickly, or it's linked somehow. Because I went to the shops, because at the moment, like if you want to go and do shopping, only one person can go out for your family, and our local shop, the rooftop car park's been closed for about 2 months. And I just drove to the shops last week. There are no towers on the top of this shopping center, and it's a massive shopping center. And I went there, and there's at least 10 of these new 5G towers on there. It's mental how quickly they went up. Yeah, so I don't know. There is something going on. Like, and there's even people in my area saying, in the middle of the night, they don't even hear anything. They wake up the next day and there's a 5G box on the line. It's like, well, it's a bit weird. And then down the road from me, we had a whole lot of vans parked, and they were parked there for ages. And I just went on my bike and I was going for a ride, and I just said to them, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" Because they just looked a bit sus. They'd been sitting there for a while, and they had their tablet out, and they were looking. They said they were looking at maps to lay out new fiber optic lines. I'm like, well, why are you doing that? And they didn't answer me. But the only reason they'd be doing that is if they're going to be putting 5G through, because you couldn't run the 5G on the copper line. You'd have to run fiber optic to it. So there's something going on. Definitely something going on.
There's a YouTube post I put on Master B, and this is an author of a book that he wants to get a second edition out. I don't know if you guys seen that, but it's called How to Be a Successful Tyrant. And he describes exactly what's happening today, a book that's 15 years old or so, how a virus will be used to gain control of the citizens. And so it's an interesting short I think it's a 2-minute video. So it's there on Master B if anyone wants to see it.
Is that the one you posted, used for all sorts of shenanigans, 2 to 3 minutes? Mark,
Yeah. Yesterday I posted it too.
Oh, sorry. I think I'm looking at the wrong one. I'll have to check it out.
I thought they already had control.
They do. They want more. Everything is more. They don't have enough money. They want more. They got control. They want more.
The restrictions that are in other countries like the UK and Australia and America, you're only allowed to go out to do this thing or that thing for this length of time, or one person can go shopping, all this kind of stuff. They tried that here in Ireland, but it's just not happening. People are going out. They're sticking to the rules up to a point, but nobody is following them rigidly. I mean, I'm certainly not. I'm sneaking past checkpoints to go off out to the countryside and to the beaches and stuff, and I don't care. And a lot of other people are too. And people are not sticking to the rigid. You have to stay in your house. You can only leave once a day. All this kind of nonsense. People just are not sticking to that. People are doing as much as they have to, but that's as much as they're going to do. And I think there must be a much bigger kind of a bigger heavy-handed police force in other countries, because I don't know, it's not happening. They're policing this, but only up to a point. Like, there's only so they just can't do it.
And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. A massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making this live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
people are starting to fight back against that nonsense because there's already been protests in Ohio, Michigan.
Michigan, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Well,
That's what
People are not going to
I
take this nonsense for too long. People want to go back to work. People are not seeing
right.
the body count that we're supposed to be seeing. If this is a pandemic that's big enough to destroy the entire world, like it just doesn't make any sense. And people are are like, okay, we're tired of this. We want to go back to work. We want to reopen our damn states. Like this is nonsense.
Yep.
And it shit made me happy to see, especially the one in Michigan. I was like, holy shit, yes.
But did you
This
did
is
you
what
hear
people need to do.
I think what Brian said has slipped you by, Chocolate.
Did it?
Maybe.
I don't know.
So this lockdown is a matter of compliance and conformity. And what Brian is saying is, well, I'm being reasonably conformative and I'm reasonably compliant. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words,
I played a good guy for a few, but at some point, we're gonna have to get back to some semblance of normality, whatever that means, But
sure,
for the
but
Neil's
meantime,
turned into a bad guy.
I watch people on YouTube, right, and they give out the disclaimers, and then they go about their business. Protected only by a few words that disclaim an acknowledgement that there should be some distance between them and the next man that's standing right next to them. But ultimately, they're kind of going about their business. And some people say, obviously I'm only allowed out for a certain amount of hours, but here I am out for however long this video is. 10 minutes. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, whatever. I'm not complaining. Are you complaining? I'm not complaining. Who's complaining? Nobody.
You don't complain because you're the frog in the slowly heating water.
Well, some people are the frog in the slowly heating water, other people are out in the field. Right, Brian?
Correct.
It's mandatory to wear a mask now where I am.
Yep. Where you're playing in the field.
It's about how serious. Yeah, it's about how serious you're actually taking it. People in general will act like they're taking it serious because they'll see the police supposedly taking it serious, or whoever supposedly taking it serious. But in reality, I know for definite, I can't speak about other countries, but in Ireland, we're not really taking it all that serious. Like, okay, there's some people that will be a little bit germophobic. They'll kind of go, oh, you're not standing a bit close to me. That's only the odd person. But in general, like, people are kind of starting to kind of, bit by bit, kind of like, just not care. That kind of way. And they can't police everyone. Like, they can't police you from going out of your house twice if you're only supposed to go once. They can't. If everyone starts kind of going out of their house a bit, just push the rules a bit. Just start pushing. Like, if everyone pushes back the big barrier straight away, it becomes a big deal and they get military in, right? Just push it back a bit. Just push it back a bit. Just keep pushing it a bit. Keep pushing it a bit. Keep pushing it a bit. You know what I mean? Eventually it'll be totally obvious that it's not. And that's kind of, it's easier maybe for us because we have the way the population is laid out in Ireland. It's not a huge population. We don't have a huge police force, so it's like maybe easier for us, but in that way because of geographics and stuff. But we're kind of like bit by bit pushing it. It's like, I caught you. Yeah, you got past the checkpoint. Yeah, I got caught. What about it? You know what I mean? Somehow laugh. I better go home, right? And then I go past the checkpoint. I sneak back past a different checkpoint 10 minutes later. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. The bottom line is, for us, the rules have been set in place now. They happened several weeks ago. They've had royal assent. That's it. That was when I was shitting my pants for a very short period of time. I'm like, my God. But it's like, well, a couple of weeks further down the line, you're like, okay, so that is now how it is. But the sooner you deal with it, the better. Now, I dealt with it immediately. I mean, I say immediately, I don't want to be a liar. It took me a couple of days. But then I'm like, okay, so this is our normal now. Now I just walk around and see the normies within their queues, shit in their pants, and I don't even shake my head anymore, but mentally I am.
Yeah, but Nathan, when what's happening in Australia comes your way, And when your neighbor is going to think he is helping everyone by snitching on you, that will change. And that's where it's going. You could see it. It's popping everywhere. It hasn't happened here in the States, but they're calling for it.
Maybe.
Like the LA mayor said, hey, snitching may have been bad in the past, but we'll reward you if you snitch now. I mean, he's like...
Sure, but I think that the general mentality of people won't change that drastically. There's an assumption that you can instill that mentality into the masses, and I just don't necessarily agree with that. You know, people aren't necessarily that monetarily motivated. Yeah, there's a few people that might be swayed, but they had to be that way inclined anyway. In other words, the kind of person that's going to grass up their neighbour for parking on their driveway, that's the same dude, right? Now, they might motivate them to do it more, but that dude's still that dude, isn't he? I'm not that dude, you're not that dude. My neighbours, I know my neighbours. None of them are those dudes either, while my neighbour's outside sunbathing most of the day. You know, and I'm not the type of person that's going to go and say, you know, love, come on, there's a pandemic. I just give her a very knowing nod. She gives me a very knowing nod, and we go about our business. That's just that simple, because that's how most people are. Now, is that speech going to motivate me to snitch on somebody outside? No. Are there a certain amount of people out there that have been pushed over the edge from being the kind of person that would just tut and moan to the kind of person that might dial 999 like a pathetic idiot because they see somebody that they perceive to be doing something wrong? Well, maybe a little bit, but I really don't worry that much about that either, personally.
I think you'll be surprised what people are willing and capable of doing when the pressure is ratcheted up and the lie is made to be real when it's not, because they're going to use this virus to get it done. This is how they're doing it.
Oh, yeah, but, okay.
I've got something.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Get what done, though? Get what done?
Hold on a second. One thing I've encountered since we've been non-vaccinated children is I've had vaccinated people tell me that they're afraid of my child, even though their child is vaccinated. Now, think about the mentality that goes with. Now, I think the social distancing is going to do something else. If you don't have the app or if you don't have this or that, you're going to social distance from people because of that.
No,
so
no,
I think
that's a double-edged sword.
Change. I think there's something going on there.
Hold on, no. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a double-edged sword. So, I was walking around with my wife the other day, and we'd got our kids with us, and they're just running up and down the street. It's really empty. There's no traffic. They're not in the road. They're on the pavement. And I kid you not, people were willing, even though there wasn't any traffic, to walk in the middle of the road to not come anywhere near us. And I turned to my wife. I was like, yeah, this is ace. You don't want to be near me? Then get the fuck out of my way, because I'm not going to be doing anything different.
Well, the thing is, though, exactly. It's not good. Well, you made that maybe define in public with people you don't know, but it's going to separate families. And see, the family unit, no matter what it is, whether because we've had issues, it's going to create. Seriously, we see this encounter because of my own family, my wife's own family. That because we don't vaccinate, they isolate themselves from us because they're afraid of something. So it's going to it's going to separate families more and more and more, and it's going to actually. I think it's going to erode society, and people are going to lean more on the government than on one another. I think that's part of this. I think what's going on. Of course, Lily wants her 2 cents too. But,
well, that's already happened in the current circumstances. People are forced to lean on the government, and they don't like it.
Well, that's all right. Well, the government normies and the people scared can sit in their house, while people not scared walk outside. More room for us. I mean, come on. This is out of control.
I agree. And
you could show. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as I walk around, on the very early stages, I mentioned it on the show. I'm like, yeah, I've come across a couple of people while I'm out and about, and you have a conversation with them after the knowing nod. Now I go out all the time and get nothing but hellos and knowing nods. There's plenty of people around me out and about. I'm just saying.
Now, Nathan, now is not tomorrow. And yesterday isn't now, or wasn't now, should I say, past tense.
And yesterday won't be next Tuesday.
True. What I'm trying to say is I will have a family member, like Paul is addressing, think they're doing me a favor by turning me in. You see how the game is going to be played. You're going to do them a favor. Not today, not based on what the mayor of LA said, but something in the future, the next card they're going to play. Right? I mean, for Cuomo to say he's going to shut down New York for 12 months when he's returning thousands of ventilators that he's not using, and hospital beds go unused, laying off nurses and doctors. What kind of pandemic doesn't fill beds and lays off nurses and doctors? What kind of pandemic is this?
A pseudo one.
Thank you very much. So now he's going to shut down New York for 12 or up to 12 months. There are states that its citizens are at the Capitol and at the governor's house saying, we're tired of it. So you're going to see in the United States, is my prediction, that certain states will say everything is going back to normal, but we're going to take these precautions and we're going to start this date. And the other states are going to say, no, we're not. We're not going to do that. And it's going to go to civil unrest, which is what they want. And this medical martial law will become military martial law. And they will have a war and unrest, which is exactly what they want.
I don't know. I still have a feeling this is going to turn out bad. Sorry, but I don't see anything good coming out of this.
You need to chill out. Neil, you are so wired at the moment and you're terrified of everything. By next week, you'll be scared of your own shadow,
I'm
mate.
not terrified of nothing, but I'm just telling you the way I see it. I go out
are.
every day.
You can tell.
I'm not terrified of nothing.
You are.
But I'm just telling you the way it's going, it's not going to turn out good.
Okay. But
really? Well, why not? Aren't people kind of waking up? Nathan gave you an example, as in just a short period, people were all scared and inside, and now they're just walking about nodding. So why are you this discouraged?
Yeah, but I
It's actually
understand
kind
that.
of okay.
Yeah, but when you're dealing with trying to figure out how now you're going to get a job and feed your children and
I'm not even
go
worried
back
about
to
that,
some
Chocolate. I'm not even worried about
sort of
What job?
normality.
What job? If you don't have the antibody or the vaccine, you're not going to get a job. That's where this is going.
Well, then that would be the bad part that Neil's talking about, right?
It's
Because
coming.
if it's gotten to the point where now if he can't get a job again because he's got to stick some crap in a needle into him and his family and they won't allow him to work, well, that's the bad that he's talking about. That's not a good thing to look for.
I was actually talking about a war. And I have young children. So to go to war, I think it's going to turn out really bad because the economy is going to collapse. You're giving freaking money away and nobody's making money. Small businesses are going to close down. Come on, this can't turn out freaking good.
It already has. They've destroyed the small businesses in my town. They're now recovering. I know of a person personally who, for the first time in his life, has never feared like the way he's fearing now. He says, I've lost everything. And he's got an established business for 20 plus 30 years. I think he's had it now, right there on the coast. And he knows it's gone. He hasn't served one customer since this shutdown went into place. There's no recovery for him. What they're going to do.
What does he do?
He owns a restaurant.
I was going to say, is he a restaurateur? Yes, I thought so.
Yeah, he's a restaurant, but everything on that, he's on the coast, so it's like a seaside. It's got pier and everything. Everything is closed. Every souvenir shop, everything is closed. So, so they're gone. So now what's happened is they didn't do this big shutdown, 184 countries, 24/7, bad news every day if you're watching the telly, blah blah blah, and then say go back to normal without any rules. Yeah, you can go back to normal, but if you want a job, if that job even is there, you have to take the vaccine, or you have to prove this, or you have. So they didn't do all this so that everything goes back to normal. Everything goes to the new normal, which is you got to have the app. You've got to prove you're not going to give anybody this thing. And if you resist, you just stay where you're at, and then we'll eventually come and get you.
Maybe.
Well, it's the signs are there. The only thing that will stop it is a total worldwide revolt in every city, every county, every state, and you got to get rid of the leadership that's there, not just get them to say we're sorry. Just get rid of them.
Agreed.
Now, Zach,
And that's
but
what I
that's
mean
not.
by turning
But
out
it is
bad.
happening
That's what I'm
now.
talking
That
about. It's
that
going
seems
to
to be
that.
happening.
But that's what they want. They want that conflict. They're ready for it.
Oh, really? Are they? Or
Yeah,
is this, or
Yeah,
could
hold
it
on.
be
Owen.
that this is just a fever of the worst parties?
No, didn't you
They're
listen to
Wait a
what
minute.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Them,
Everyone, hold on. Didn't 10th Man just speculated that the whole point of this is to develop civil unrest so they can instruct martial law instead of medical martial law, or whatever it's called, medical law.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, so he's saying civil unrest is part of the procedure in his worst case scenario.
Correct.
But will it happen? It may not happen, and then it's simply going to be like a fever of all the bad parties, the rotten apples in the counties doing all this, and then they go away.
Isn't it just a bit extreme?
It all depends on top down on how they're going to respond to people doing that. Are they going to say, yes, finally, they're doing something about it? Or are they, how dare you martial law? That's
simple.
the question. What are they going to do?
It's simple. When Trump announced we're at war and took away our habeas corpus, that meant that any property, any law enforcement governed by the government that just went to war could enter my house, take my property, take everything. I have no rights. All my rights got suspended when Trump went to war with this invisible virus. So for us to survive this in the good way, we all have to revolt. But that's what they want so that they can do what they want. You see, so we have to do it in order to have a chance to survive, or else we're just going to have, you're not going to get a job without going through this step, that step, have this, get this vaccine, blah, blah, blah. Or when we do it, then they say, great. Either way, you either comply and you do it, or you fight, and we're ready for that, and we're ready for both. That's the governance.
But the people who stepped away from
The
Go on, Brian.
No, Nathan, you go first.
I was going to say, it still required people to voluntarily step away and close their doors. You know, as this began, I watched certain businesses in my town that remained open. Now, I understand that there was obviously the problem of no customers coming through the doors. In other words, it's going to reach a point where they're going to use that as the justification for closing the doors when ultimately there's no business coming through the doors. But that was a slowly trickling effect. But if there's a demand for a certain thing, I mean, I could really do with a haircut right now, and there's a particular piece of electrical equipment I could do with, and every time I walk around past those two shops, I look in the doors and pull the doors to see if there's somebody in. And I hope every time that the door might open. Now, I'm not keeping an eye. I don't know what really is going on in terms of what they're saying is going on. What I know in terms of what I experienced with my own eyes and in my own neighbourhood is the doors are closed and locked. But who's holding the keys to those doors?
That's what I'm saying. Why can't we just open up?
That's what we're all saying.
Hold on. Say that again, please. Neil?
Why can't we just go open up? If we have stores, go open up.
Hey,
What the freak are they going to do?
Maybe Brian could answer that.
Yeah, well, that would be the direction to go. Like, absolutely. My analogy that I was going to say is along the same lines. So the easiest way for me to say it is just give the analogy. We're under a grip. And how you release a grip from you, if someone's gripping you, is you create a tension and then the grip pops off. Like blowing a balloon up too far, eventually it breaks. But if you just stretch the boundaries, keep stretching the boundaries, eventually that balloon is going to bust. The only problem you have with opening doors is getting supply. If bigger companies aren't willing to open up their factories and get a supply going, that's the only problem with opening. But a hairdresser could open up, things like that. I mean, there's no reason why people can't just open up. If you want to rebel, the best way to rebel, if you go in, is not to have a big massive war straight out, because
Right on.
they are going to win that. Right.
Right on.
Right.
Let me give you a couple
Yeah.
of examples.
Yeah.
Let me give you a couple of examples. One of them's a New Yorker, and the other one's like more national, but gives you an idea of why I'm explaining this. So we discussed him once before. Lewis Rossman has got a store in New York, and obviously he's had to shut down, but he's still going into work. The lights are still on. The doors are locked, but he's in there doing the odd board repair, streaming a few videos. He's doing his thing, and then he's talking about various other things on his YouTube channel when he's not there. But he's, as Brian put it, he's kind of, he's dabbling with his business. He's still keeping the lights on, sometimes metaphorically, sometimes actually. And I'm sure that will, continue for Lewis Rossman. Now, there's another example which I thought was particularly intriguing, not because I'm interested in the sport, but interested in the wider implications or the way it will be perceived, which is it the UFC were going to hold a tournament, and they had Dana, whatever his name is, explaining that they'd followed all the rules and guidelines, and they were all kosher, everything was above board, and it was going to go ahead. But then Disney stepped in and said no. So symbolically, their audience has been told, we've followed the rules, we can have our fights. Then they're told by their owners of the company, no, we are keeping the doors locked. Now that sends a very powerful message through the TV waves to the people, doesn't it? But ultimately, they were going to unlock their doors, weren't they? They'd followed all the rules. They'd got all of the sanitizers laid out correctly. They'd got all the tape marked down, but they were going to open their doors. Now, were they being told, no, this is absolutely outside of the government narrative? No, they were following the government narrative rules to open their doors. But for Disney saying no, they would have opened them, right? Well, what does that tell you?
What message did that send?
Right. We will keep our doors locked. I will keep my door locked. I will stay at home. Will I stay at... Well, fuck, I haven't done anything different. The only thing that's pissed me off royally is they've taped off the park. I can't take the kids to anymore. But beyond that, the classes they do have moved online, and we do the classes here. There's plenty of furniture to move things around for them to climb on for their classes. The Spanish lessons still go ahead. Still singing Hola, Eleanor and all that. Well, life hasn't changed a great deal. We still go out. Went out and planted some plants today in the sunshine and wind. And, life goes on. I haven't really changed much. And when I was asked the question, are you not following the government guidelines? I went, I haven't even got the vaguest clue what they even are. Guidelines? Like I care. The law changes. Yeah, I was very much aware of those and definitely concerned about them. But the guideline... What? Oh, God, I give a crap about the guidelines? No, not really. Well, if the guidelines are that you lock your door... Now, might be right. I might be wrong in this regard. I'm not an American, so I don't know what the letter of the law is in that regard. But you'd be pretty. If I was a business owner with a set of doors that were being locked at my volition, I'd want to look into it as quickly as possible and find out what's stopping me from unlocking them. What's in my path? And if
Nathan,
go on.
You're doing Spanish in your home. A lot has changed.
Yeah, I realise. Not because I've locked that door, though. That person that's locked that door to the Spanish lesson, she's still got the keys. Now, is she breaking a law by opening it? Well, not necessarily. If the social distancing rules were all in place during that lesson, there's no reason why that lesson couldn't go ahead as far as I'm concerned. But I don't hold those keys. So there are certain things around me, because of the normie society that I occupy, that I have to tolerate. Well, it's always been that way. In terms of how I perceive the world, in many ways, nothing has changed. I don't see the people that are out, although they're queuing a bit more politely, I still view them as the exact same people with the same mentalities. Nothing's changed.
No, from that point of view, you're right psychologically. But we have never seen the world this way, ever. No one has ever seen the world this way, ever. This is the first time we've ever seen the world this way. The mentality approach, you're right. The same sheep are going to be sheep no matter if they had more freedom or less freedom. The Spanish class could open their doors and you wouldn't be indoors. You'd go there. And that's
I got a
the whole point.
hypothetical.
They're slowly turning the vice. It isn't the same pressure everywhere. Brian, where he's at, has a little bit more fun with the officers and checkpoints. Other places aren't having fun, like Australia. And here, you're promoted to snitch. So it's every variance of what they want is happening somewhere else. It's not all the same level of intensity, but it's all going towards the same thing. The only way around this is for a mass revolt and get rid of everyone who holds office currently who's been pushing this, or else he'll come back again.
Let me get it straight. Let me get it straight, 10th man. So, got option one, which is sort of Brian's suggestion, or an elaboration of Brian's suggestion, which is, this might be a metaphor because there might be legal ramifications. So I'm just describing this as a hypothetical, right? So you could just, if you've got a set of keys, metaphorical or otherwise, go back, open your door, turn the lights back on, maybe rearrange stuff with a bit of tape, if that's what's required. But that could be what you could do and to move forward. Or worldwide revolution. There's quite a disparity between those two things, wouldn't you agree?
Well, hang on. Let's fill the in-between. Okay. I mean, yeah, I've got a sporting goods store that could put tape every 6 feet apart and open the stores, but it's not. I got other stores that could put tape every 6 feet, and they're not. So if the grocery stores are able to be open, then why can't they be open and follow the same rules the grocery stores? But they're not.
Isn't that pretty much what I just said?
That's what I'm trying to say to you. So it's not the same everywhere. And why are these people closing their doors when they could just say, wait a minute, if the grocery store next to my hair salon is open, why can't I follow the same guidelines of having only 2 people in my hair salon that seats, say, 4 seats? And I'll put them at the most extreme seats. No one's, right, wear gloves, the whole thing. But they're not doing it. Until that happens, right? Then it's
hold
no
on.
longer...
Well, hold on. There's a pause there. Why aren't they? Well, because they're being told, stay safe, stay home.
No, I think a lot of people think this is real.
But again,
so
we're talking to...
Hold on, the New York pressure cooker's going to blow. Why is somebody in there playing music?
What is that?
Ugh.
Oh, someone's goofing around. Go ahead, Neil. You go, and then I'll follow up.
Sorry.
Go.
Should get banned immediately if they play music.
I heard a silence. That's why I said something. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Neil. Go.
I was going to say, 10th man, if your friend that owns a restaurant calls 15, 20 people up and says, I'm opening up Saturday night, and they go in, what's going to stop them? Who's going to come in and say, no, you can't? What's going to happen is a lot of people still believe this is real, so they think they can get this bullshit virus by sitting down in a restaurant next to somebody. So until people wake up and realize that this is bullshit, it's going to continue to go on.
Right, no, you can't have your cake and eat it. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Society has changed in that regard, and people will be scared of other people that have been perceived to have or have been deemed to have with a test this COVID-19 virus. Now, that is how it is. Now, if that means that if you've got a restaurant that suddenly you've got to make massive changes to even survive, then you either make the massive changes or you don't survive. Now, that's cruel.
Correct.
And as hard as that sounds, that is how it is. This is how it is now. So you've got 2 choices if you're a business owner. You get on with it and you figure out how you're going to survive, or you don't survive. Those are your choices.
Correct. Well said, and that's exactly what they're doing, and they have a new level of control when they do that. The other day when I went shopping, there was a man with a mask on. It wasn't the other day, it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago when I went on, I wasn't wearing a mask when I went to town. I live in acreage. I'm free as a bird. You wouldn't even know that we had anything going on in the world if you live where I live, except when you drive 25 minutes and hit town. That's when you know. Okay, so what I'm saying is before, I would only go to town once a week. Now, because I visit my friend more often, because he's got time to talk because he can't open his restaurant, I go 2-3 times a week just to keep him company. And I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. But up until the time I go through my gates and 25 minutes later, what COVID-19? I mean, the world hasn't changed for me here at all because I'm in the boonies. But back to my story. 2 weeks ago, in the parking lot of a grocery store, I see a man pushing a cart after he unloaded in his car. He was going to put it into the place where the carts go. And I say, here, I'll take it. And I did not have a mask on, but he did. And he says, with a worried look, don't worry, I wiped it clean. And I said, don't worry, I'm not afraid of a phony virus. He looked at me, he says, I am, turned his back, and had a fast-paced walk away from me.
He said,
Okay,
I
now-
am. Wow.
Yeah, he said, I am, and he turned his back and walked fast.
Why is
away
that
from me.
surprising? Why is that surprising?
It's
It's
not
not.
surprising. It's just now 2 weeks later, I get a ticket for $1,000 if I don't wear a mask. So I got one hanging on my rearview mirror, and when I'm 25 minutes out, the minute I step out of my car, I have to put it on because the cops will give me $1,000 ticket.
It's a
That's what's
$1,000
there 2
ticket.
weeks. That was not.
Gee,
That was not
wait,
there
wait.
2 weeks ago.
Really? $1,000 if you're not
Yeah,
wearing
there
a
was
mask.
I went to the store.
Jesus.
I went to the store last week, the same store where I went when that guy gave me the card. And I was the only one without a mask. And I asked the manager, where's such and such a thing? And he says, over here, let me take you to it. And he looked at me and looked around. He says, why don't you have a mask? They're passing out $1,000 tickets. There was a father and a kid here the other day. And the kid didn't have a mask. The father did. And they ticketed the kid $1,000 because the father didn't put a mask on the kid. I said, are you kidding me? He said, I said, where do I get a mask so I don't get a ticket? He says, try the donut store next door. I go, what? So I just jumped in my car and headed back home. I came home. I told that to my wife, and she goes, I told you, because she was wearing a mask, and I hadn't heard the news. So she got me a mask. It's hanging on my rearview mirror. I don't ever wear it except when I go to town, so I avoid a $1,000 ticket. Now, the world has changed.
I'm going to confess to the pressure I'm under.
Yeah, but just
what needs to happen there. Go on, Nathan. I'll go after you.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, all I was going to say, what needs to happen there, like the fact that everyone's now wearing masks and they're going to get a $1,000 fine if they're not wearing masks means there's more control being, the grip is getting tighter. Hashtag burn the mask across the whole internet. Mass burnings. Yeah, just hundreds and thousands of masks being burned. That's where things need to go to. You don't need to have an all-out gun battle with the police. You just need to show you're not interested. You're not taking it serious. It's over. You know, bit by bit by bit. But burning a mask, that's going to be a start of it. Burn these masks because they're nonsense. They don't stop it anyway. It's nonsense. They're no good anyway. Even if there was something to stop, they don't stop it. But that's besides the point. Hashtag burn the mask. You know?
You're making too much sense, Brian. The problem is, if you go in that shopping center and you burn your mask, and the other 100 or say 99 people some of them get on the phone and call the cops because you burned your mask, and the other ones sit there and watch because they're looky-loos, and no one joins you in burning the mask. No, but if you're like this organized revolt at the Michigan Capitol, that's different. Okay, so how was that set up, and what caused that? And that's what we need on every front, because this is a joke.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to you in the Nathan Oakley Premium Stream audience for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!